Joining us now is national security analyst for Fox News and host of FoxNews.com's DEFCON pre-show, which is on Wednesdays at live.foxnews.com, the one and only KT McFarland. Good morning, KT.
Good morning.
So North Korea has once again violated the United Nations ban that has been imposed upon them with regard to their nuclear activities. And it seems to me, from what I'm seeing, the response is, well, we're going to go back to the UN and we're going to get even stricter with North Korea.
We're going to wag our finger one more time.
What's the point at this point?
Look, the world that President Obama is going to, by the end of his term, is going to be a very different one from the one that we're living in today. I think North Korea is, if not there, they're close enough. They'll be there soon. When North Korea has deliverable nuclear weapons, the other countries in that part of the world are going to say, gee, maybe we need ours, which means at a minimum Japan rearms, maybe goes nuclear. South Korea similarly. What will North Korea do with its nuclear weapons? I don't think they're going to nuke Hawaii. I don't think they're going to nuke San Francisco. But I do think they're going to sell that stuff because it's the only thing they've got to sell. Who are they going to sell it to? They're going to sell it to Iran. They've already started that relationship. You know, the North Koreans test a missile called the Taepodong missile. They sell it to Iran. Iran paints the side of it and calls it the Shahab missile, and then Iran has a missile. So I think you'll see Iran will buy the weapons technology from North Korea.
Right, but KT, further economic sanctions on North Korea will make them even more desperate to do such a transaction. So, I mean, that's not a good solution to keep the nukes from spreading around the world into Iran. So what is the solution? Is it more negotiation, more conversation with North Korea, or is it time to contemplate military action?
No, I don't think you contemplate military action, and I think that you can always talk, but don't expect anything to come of the talks. There's a UN resolution that allows us to stop anything going from North Korea to another part of the world that we think carries weapons on it. We could stop ships.
Well, isn't that a military action? Or you're talking about a blockade, basically.
You're not talking about a blockade, because that means everything. You're talking about selectively finding out stuff that's going to other places. We're doing it all the time. We do it with weapons on their way to Syria. We've done it before with weapons on their way to Iran. That's not, and it's not just we, the United States. That's the United Nations, resolution. So we have the right to do it already.
All right. So
that doesn't make me as nervous. But what makes me nervous is if the stuff gets through to Iran. Iran gets nuclear weapons, which I think is just a matter of time. The administration may talk a tough game, but like they wag their finger, saying, "You better not do that. I'm going to be really angry with you." But who cares, right? And so then I think you'll see a Middle East that then becomes nuclearized and proliferated as well. Or Saudi Arabia's already said if Iran gets nukes, we will have to get our own. The United Arab Emirates have said that. Or Egypt will want its own, and probably Turkey. So then you see a world 4, 5, 8 years from now that's very different than the one today. You've got nuclear weapons all over the place.
All right, so they explode this nuclear device, which they say is smaller and lighter. And you point out they already have some fairly capable missile technology. Mm-hmm. How long before they marry the two things?
Well, you need three things for a nuke. You need enriched uranium. We know they've got that. They've tested that. They have plutonium, uranium. We know that they have missiles. We've seen those tests. And the third thing you need is the hard part, and that's the blueprint that takes the enriched uranium, makes it into a weapon, small enough to get on a missile, detonates at the right time that you want it. And that you don't know where they are because they're doing that inside a building that you can't see from surveillance, and we don't have a lot of spies in North Korea. So I think you've got to assume that it's within, maybe it's tomorrow, but maybe it's 3 years from now. I don't think anybody's talking 10 years.
Wow, that's pretty scary. Can I ask you about the Chuck Hagel nomination? Because the question that has been raised, and that Chuck Hagel apparently is refusing to answer, has to do with money he was paid for speeches and where the money ultimately came from. He has refused to answer that. He says he's just not going to answer that. Is it fair of Republican senators to ask that question and demand an answer before we make him our Secretary of Defense?
Sure, you can demand anything you want, and financial disclosure is something that any candidate for confirmation in the cabinet should probably go along with. But whether that's something that disqualifies him because he gave a speech to a group and earned money for it, or the Atlantic Council, one of the most respected think tanks in the world, has taken donations from people. They think, I just don't think that's a big deal. To me, the bigger deal is what is he going to do when he gets to be Secretary of Defense? He's going to slash away at the defense budget. How's he going to pull that off? Well, is he going to be somebody who advocates for the United States Armed Forces and military, or is he going to be somebody who goes in there with a meat axe? And if he is going in with a meat axe, is he going to be able to work with the military to do it in a judicious, intelligent way that doesn't endanger national security? Or is he going to be able to deal with Congress? I mean, he's already shown he's not very good at testifying.
Yeah,
and that's a big part of the job.
KT, isn't the end game politically here the fact that Chuck Hagel happened to have been an elected Republican? This is a way for the Democrats to slash the defense budget the way they've always wanted to, and then to be able to walk away and say, well, what do you want? It was a Republican who was the Secretary of Defense. Even he agreed it had to be done.
Yeah, but again, you're playing yeah, sure. That plays politics. That's sort of like, I'm going to make sure that whatever happens, I don't get blamed for it.
Yeah.
But here's what's going to happen. In the Middle East, there are going to be a lot more hostage-taking incidents. We have an awful lot of American civilians there, contractors, school teachers, aid workers, who are going to be pretty much unprotected, and it'll be open season on them. Are we going to be able to rescue them? Are we going to watch them all, be taken hostage and then something bad happen to them? If the United States is cutting its military strength and it's doing it in such a way that it endangers our ability to do that, then I think who cares who got money for speeches? Who cares who gets the blame for it? Because the blame should be, at least at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I just keep thinking back to Jimmy Carter. He cut the defense budget in the same way. He hollowed out the force. He couldn't even get a bunch of helicopters into Tehran to rescue American diplomats held hostage for nearly a year.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen to Obama? If it does, will the press blame Obama? Probably not. They'll probably blame everybody but Obama, but that's who they should blame.
Well, but the good news is a few decades from now, Ben Affleck will make a very good movie about it. So that's the bottom line. All right, KT McFarland, thanks so much for joining us again. Fox News national security analyst and host of FoxNews.com's DEFCON 3 show at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, live.foxnews.com. Always appreciate KT joining us on a weekly basis.